Rudy, I can't believe how long we have been stuck in our respective homes. How are you doing?
Yeah, I love it. My home is so clean. I've been doing so many to-do projects. I keep redoing the redo projects, which is cool.
That's
But
good.
also,
Perfection.
it allows me to think about other things.
Right.
It's really awesome. I'm becoming very, very creative.
Well, that's a good thing. You know, by the way, I think
It
I
is.
I I should let you know that our podcast now has been downloaded in over 40 countries,
Oh, wow.
all
That's
across Europe,
awesome. And
Africa,
yeah,
Canada, Europe. Our second or third most popular country is Ireland.
holy cow, that's where Notre Dame's going to play next year.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
That's the
I
tie
don't
then
know.
to the Fighting Irish. So what have you got on
It
your mind? What are
is.
you
It
thinking about?
surely is. Well, here's what I want to do. I want to start off with a quote because you and I are going to be talking about the mindset today and the different things of reinventing ourselves and innovation and all that. So this is by Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you Dale Carnegie first. The man who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled. You like that?
I do. Yeah. And you know, it's true. I mean, and
That's
I
the
think we
key,
find
coach, right
ourselves,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, we
I think
definitely
that,
got to take over that. This is the new challenge we're having right now.
right. And I think that unfortunately, I think, you know, we're in such a routine. We find ourselves in such a routine and such a grind that at first,
Hmm.
by bringing a halt to everything, I think it was really shocking and jarring to people and jarring to their sense of stability and their self-esteem and so forth. And I think now, hopefully, what's happened is that a lot of people have seen the gift in all of this. The gift being that it's given us an opportunity to
Yeah,
reconnect, and it's given us an opportunity, like you said, to be creative and to think about things like reinvention.
yeah, I mean, we have to get our mind set in a positive way. And this is what's helping me. See, if you're not around the goofy thoughts, you
Hmm.
don't think goofy thoughts. If you're not watching goofy movies, you're not thinking goofy stuff.
And that's no
You know,
stab at
it's amazing.
Netflix,
Good
right?
music I'm listening to, and I'm listening. I'm reading more books. Is that
Right?
awesome? And I'm dyslexic, so it's making me do things. I'm looking for my skill. I know I have a skill. I want to
Mm.
hone in on that skill, and this is what this is also allowing us to do, is to hone in on your skill. You know, there's three kinds of people. You know that, right?
Okay.
There's the people who are intimidated by this, people who are frustrated by this, but there's people who are motivated by this. I
Right.
choose to be the motivated one,
Right.
and that's where your profile, that's where the team comes in. You got to pick good people around you to keep you positive and stay strong and also be creative. That's why
Right.
the team is so awesome. The
Well, I'll tell you
organization of
what,
your
before
team,
we
you
want,
got to
if
get
you
the
don't
right
mind,
guy, though.
yeah, well, let's step back a little bit though first. I mean, let's say
Okay?
somebody has decided that, you know, they want to reinvent. And it's circumstances like this
Right.
right now. It's when life gets interrupted. It gives us a chance to take a breath. And it's this kind of traumatic life event, though, that can do one of two things to you, no matter what kind of person you are. It can rattle your sense of security and derail your self esteem, or it can reawaken your true
Hmm.
passions. And Rudy, I've always found that
Boy,
when
isn't that
work,
true?
commitment, and pleasure intersect, that's where passion lives, and nothing seems impossible.
But you got to focus on the good, Joe. That's the key.
Exactly
Whenever
right.
things aren't going so well for me, I realize that it's time to stop and take stock on what's really going on in my life. Usually, I find that while it isn't what it isn't going on so well, a fair amount is still going bad in this country. So we must find out what's good. What's the good? So that's what
Exactly
I
right.
focus on. What is good? Focus on the goodwill. And I think that's the key when we focus on the good, and that eliminates a lot of the stuff that's out there and the goofy stuff that's out there. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Well,
think of that.
and if you're going to start to reinvent yourself, not only do you want to sort of look externally at what's going on out there and separate the, try to see the good through the bad, but it's also taking stock of yourself and looking at your
Boy, isn't that
skills and
true?
looking at your experiences. Because,
How about better diet, Joe?
well, that's true too.
You're,
That's true
you
too.
look good. You're
I mean,
eating better.
you're
Eating
right.
You're picking the right foods.
Well, it depends on what you're hoping to reinvent. I mean, there are a lot of people that are unfortunately unemployed right now. And the sad fact is that, there are some of these businesses just aren't going to come back. And you're going to have to figure out another way. You're going to have to figure out another path. There's that kind of reinvention. Then there's the kind of reinvention that you were just talking about where, we've all joked about the COVID-19. In my house right now, I have two 20-somethings who spend part of their time baking, and guess who's eating most of it? So that's
Joe,
my
you look good,
COVID-19 that I have to think about. Yeah. So there's health, and then there's the emotional side. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of people right now that are suffering emotionally because of this isolation. So, it's the reinvention either from a job loss or from your health or from your mental health. And it all requires taking a moment to just center yourself and exactly that. Look at the gifts that you do have and assess the skills that you have. Think about the experiences you have and think about the clutter you have. You and I were talking about that earlier, Rudy. How do you unclutter?
About the clutter. How about the clutter? You want to reinvent yourself? Get rid of anything that you no longer like. Right?
Does that include people?
Use or need. Out of sight, out of mind. That's clutter is just stuff. That's all it is. It's just stuff. It isn't the best of you, so why keep it around?
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. To complicate your life any longer than you have to. Why do that? It doesn't make sense to have clutter.
Have you been decluttering?
First thing I do every morning is make my bed, clean the room, go, take care of the doggies and make sure the kitchen's in shape, just so you feel good, so you're not walking around in clutter.
Right. But as I was saying too, I think sometimes that has to do with relationships. I think that in a time like this, I think it requires us to, sort of rise to the occasion and be tolerant. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to see who's really important in our lives and who isn't.
Right. That's that emotional clutter.
Yep.
Sometimes you talked about clear out the emotional clutter. That's the key. You got to conquer that.
Yeah.
You got to conquer that emotion. Get rid of the clutter there. That's going to give you the goofy thoughts.
Yeah.
How you feel every day, how you feel throughout the day, and what you dream about. Because dreaming is really the key to all this as well. So I got to change up my routine sometimes to do that. As you know, when you do that, things happen differently. And I find myself on the phone a lot talking about dreams, talking to guys who dream. I just got off the phone right before we got on. We said, we got to take care of the homeless.
Yeah.
There's so many homeless people in Vegas. And he
Los Angeles as well.
The homeless. Yeah, he got so excited about it. He's a contractor. And he has this idea he's been sitting on for years. He wants to build these little prefab homes made out of concrete that makes them look like you wouldn't know they're concrete the way he designs them. But he's all excited about that. So I got him dreaming.
Yeah.
And he's excited. So he sent me one sketch. I said, oh, my gosh, can you build me that? But it's all out of concrete.
Well, if you recall last week when we had Jim Morris on, I mean, that was one of the things that he was talking about. And I think his new book, Dream Maker, and he was talking about, which brings me to my next, our next topic here in terms of reinvention is building a team. And part of that team is, there are dream makers and there are dream crushers. And I think the important thing is to make sure that those dream crushers are eliminated as part of the decluttering. And we find out who those people are pretty quick in a situation like this, because they're the ones that are constantly calling. talking about how horrible it is. We're never going to get out of this, all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm not suggesting that we don't look at the reality of it, but there's only so much of that's productive. And you've got such an
Correct.
opportunity now to be productive.
Well, we touched on that earlier about these type of people are intimidated.
Mm.
You got to
What do
stay
you mean
away
by
from
that?
that type of person.
Wh-
They get intimidated by change. They get intimidated by they have to change their routine. They don't want to change. They're
Mhm.
comfortable. They don't want to be uncomfortable. Sometimes we've got to get uncomfortable to do the things we need to do, and they're afraid to do that. So that's intimidation. A lot of these guys, too, we talk about, they get frustrated because they're listening to all the goofy information out there. They don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
They have no idea what to believe. They get so confused. But that's that motivated guy that you and I talk about that will set a plan and a good plan and a practice plan that we talk about teamwork.
Yeah.
And that's an individual, group, and team that we want to be involved with.
When you're bringing a team together, and you know, in this particular case, we're talking about, you know, whether it's loved ones or colleagues, former or present colleagues, and so forth. But it's not being afraid to ask for help if you need
Yeah,
it. You
collaborate.
can't
Yeah,
sit there paralyzed and think to yourself, God, I don't have this skill, or I don't have this experience, or I don't have this answer. What am I going to do? Well, the reality is there is somebody out there that does have it. And all you have to do is just reach out to them and ask. And people like to be asked for help. It gives them, you know, first of all, it validates the fact that they're the kind of people that help people. And,
oh,
you know, it was a skill
absolutely.
that we had, you know, as kids, you know, Mommy, can you reach this? Dad, can you, you
Right,
know, read me this or what have you? And then we
right.
get to a certain age, and what happens? We see asking for help as a weakness. And it's
Yeah, well,
about
that's because you're putting that culture in school. That's what it
right.
does, and that's what most kids kind of crawl into their until they get out of that culture. Then they really do well. I see that all the time. I see smart kids who could take tests, who could read, but the kids who are really, really visionary
Mm-hmm.
and really into the dream, they get bored real fast. And sometimes teachers don't know how to teach that.
Right.
They call it attention deficit disorder. Well, I want to be around that kid
Yeah.
because that's a guy who sees things in the future, who can get things done. Let's put the guy, like I said, put the skill guy in there who can execute what he sees.
Right.
We can't
Yeah.
expect him to execute it as long as he has the vision, and he'll put the right. That's the team I'm talking about. So you
Right.
got to understand the different person. In school, we don't teach that. We don't teach collaboration. We don't teach that skill set, and that is what is needed. It really is needed how to help each other succeed.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that we've talked about before, and because it's so pervasive in when we're trying to take a step out of our comfort zone, and that's that four-letter word, fear.
Fear. It's an illusion.
It is. I mean, look,
I
that's what Charlie. Do you remember when we talked to Charlie Plum? I mean, you know,
sure.
he said, you know, if you step back and you look back at your life and you think about all the things that you feared the most, and 90% of the time they never came to pass, and they certainly didn't come to pass to the extent that you imagined them in your mind. I mean, it's a false emotion. And if you remember Wayne Nugent, our friend a couple of weeks ago, Wayne said that when he pictures his mind as a garden,
Yeah.
and worry and fear are the weeds. And he, you know, literally, or I mean, metaphorically, he plucks those weeds out as soon as he hears there's no reason to focus on those. Don't be foolish, but at the same time, it's just as valid to focus on and contemplate the success of things as it is the failure of things.
He reads and he
Yeah.
schools himself. That's the difference. And that's why I say good books are very important, positive books. Again, he reads the Bible, and it's how he interprets the Bible, but he reads it right, and he gets the right messages from that. So that's his fruit. That's why he can pick the weeds out of his garden And I always say this, I said this over and over again. If you don't make yourself uncomfortable in your journey, you won't succeed because you won't get better. You
Yeah.
just won't get better. You become mediocrity, 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 mediocrity. I remember Kobe Bryant when I met him, what
Hmm.
he said about mediocrity. I want to be like you, Rudy. I want to test it every day, every day, every day. That's why I'm out here 2 hours before the game. That's the message you gave me in that movie. You go out there every day and you get better, even though you're not the best, but you're out there testing it every day,
Yeah.
challenging it every day.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. And we find out we are better. We do have a contribution. We don't have to be the best, but we can contribute to the
Right.
people who have that skill and talent to go to the top. So that's a good team as well.
And to get out there, that's what I have a friend who talks, look, just get in the jet stream. Just do it.
You got to
I
get
never
up and
learned
move.
as much from success as I did from failure. And when I went out with my very first book proposal, and I didn't know anything about the publishing business, as I've said a couple of times here, it's, the good Lord looks out for the ignorant and the persistent, and the trick is to be the right mix of both. And it's just, you do your homework, and it reminds me of one other thing that we talked about a couple of weeks back with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Don't be committed to the process. Be committed to the outcome.
Yes, because you can change along the way.
You have to change it
You
along the
have
way.
to. Hmm.
Yeah. And the other one I
Sometimes
love
it
is,
doesn't come out the way you want it to. So you
and
change
and sometimes it doesn't come out the way you want it to, but it comes out better.
better.
You would have
Yes.
never known if you didn't, as Tony Robbins says, take that massive action, take that first step.
Oh my gosh. Actually, Tony Robbins is a great marketer, great educator of the mind. Um, I was more into guys like Robert Schuller, who,
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason, he just connected to me when he talked. That guy.
Anything in particular that resonated with you that you can share with us?
Well, I remember the day I was coming back from Notre Dame when I got my kind of like the final no. We really don't think this is not our type of project we want to be involved in. We already done our movie, Rockney, All American, and I got all that. So I almost lost that joy of that journey at that point until I went home. It was a Sunday morning. I just went to Mass, praying about it. There's a spot in the movie where you say, have I prayed enough? And Father Robert Prosky plays Father Cavanaugh, says, to incontrovertible facts, there is a God and I'm not him. Rudy, it's not about you praying, it's about you working harder. Right?
Right.
So my whole point when I got back, Robert Schuller, the Crystal Cathedral was on the Hour of Power. I never watch it, but I start hearing what he was saying. I got into it. And
Hmm.
he said something very powerful. Tough times never last. Tough people do. I said, that's me. And he told
Right.
the story about his father. They lived in Iowa. Tornado came and just ripped their farm apart. Remember, his father says to the boys, come on, boys, we're going to rebuild. Tough times won't last. The strong last. So they picked all the wood and all the belongings to that barn. They brought it back, started piecing it back together. That story kind of hit me because that's where I was at.
Hmm.
My dream was shattered all over the place.
Hmm.
I got to go back and fix it. I got to go back and get back on track. And boy, within a week or so, I'm back on track. And all of a sudden, I'm getting calls from people I never thought I would get calls from. When I was out in Hollywood, I made bold moves I thought were stupid. Those bold moves became very positive moves because someone told someone this guy about this guy, and all of a sudden got to the right guy, and they called me, we want to do your movie. That's how it works. You don't
Well,
know, but you can't give up on your belief and your bold moves that you make. Sometimes you think there are stupid moves. Just like when I wanted to play for Notre Dame, I met Eric Parsegan very early in the morning, but I told him, Coach, I was in the Navy. He said, you're in the Navy? I said, yes. And I'm not here yet, Coach, but I'll be here. Next year, I'm at Holy Cross. He says, where were you stationed, son? I said, Chicago. He said, that's where I was stationed. I said, you were in the Navy, Coach? Oh, yeah. And we hit it off. But if I didn't make that bold move, that's what I'm talking about. It's not ever stupid when you believe in your gut and your feeling. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
when things happen.
No,
It's like
I've
you and I talking. I know you're a very successful writer and commentator, and you're very good at what you do. I'm not any good at what I do, but I have fun doing what I do.
Yeah,
I
you've
even
only
had
been
a guy
speaking
come
for
up
what,
to me one
26
day.
years now? You
Yeah,
only
well,
have a
they told
movie
me
that's more
I'm not a
famous
good
than
speaker.
football. That's
Well,
awesome.
I
No,
only made one
what
tackle.
you and I shared, and we talked about a
Yes.
lot, is the fact that, we both didn't let the fact that either people told us no, or it didn't add up. I mean, the dots didn't necessarily connect. But what we knew
Yeah.
was we knew what we knew, and we were passionate about it, and we knew whether it was you communicating your movie or me communicating one of my books, you could see it crystal clear, and you were able to let the person that had the ability to say yes or no, in your case, the movie company in Notre Dame, in my case, any one of the publishers and so forth, they feel that passion, and then there's that spark, and that's where that connection's made, and you believe in it, and then they believe in it, and that's what
Yes.
has to be there. You have to have that belief in yourself, and you have to be able to communicate that belief so clearly that they feel it. And that's really, that fills in a lot of the gaps where you don't have a lot of the, maybe you don't have enough of the skill, or you don't have enough of, it's about being resourceful. And part of that resourcefulness really begins from the inside. Is that what you found, Rudy?
You're no, I agree 100%. And at first, when I was going through this journey of all this adversity and all the adversaries out there, I said, wow, why am I doing this? This is really stupid. Right? This is not. But then I hear Dr. Robert Schuller talk about what he went through. I'm not the only cowboy in town going through this. Why am I feeling sorry for myself? I could get back up and keep going at it over and over again. And that's what I did. You got to keep moving. You can't stop. You got to keep moving forward and forget about what happened yesterday or 5 minutes ago. Do the new thought in the moment. And you find out it will turn around. And all of a sudden you say, wow, am I glad I never quit.
Right. And people along the way.
I would never met you, Joe. If I didn't think about it, never met Joe Gardner or anyone of your caliber if I would have quit.
And same for me. Had my book, Echoes of Notre Dame Football, was book number 4 for me, and it put me in touch with Rudy International. It's a large hardcover coffee table book, right?
Yeah.
It chronicles all the big moments of Notre Dame football history up till 2001 at the time. I'm not sure it needs a whole lot of updating, to tell you the truth, but at any rate, it also comes with the actual play-by-play. And I wanted somebody to narrate the play-by-play, so it would give you a variety of experiences. You could either relive the moments by just leafing through the book, or you can put the CDs on. And I got Regis Philbin to narrate the CDs. Didn't know Regis, knew of him, of course, but I didn't know anybody who knew him. So I did the only thing I could do, and what I've always done, and that was just to write him a letter. And I poured every ounce of passion into that letter of why I felt that he would be the perfect sort of narrator of a book like this. And much to my surprise, he agreed to do it. So I not only had Regis Philbin, but then I went out and reached for your coach, Eric Parsegian. He wrote the foreword to the book. And then I got Joe Theismann to write the afterword. So
nice.
I stacked the deck for sure. But most importantly was that I got to cross paths with you, and been friends with you ever since, and been the richer for it.
Yeah, well, again, I go back to what made that journey continue, what made that journey happen. It was adversity. I understood adversity and got back up and moved forward. I didn't feel sorry for myself. When my friend died, that was adversity. That was a shock. And I had to overcome that moment. And you take your belief and your spirituality and you take God and Jesus in your life, and you keep moving forward, and things work out. They show you what to do.
That's for
Uh,
sure.
just
I
by being there.
my journey started with adversity too. I was with a radio network for 11 years, and I'd started doing a business development that didn't have a whole lot to do with the core business. And a new CEO came in
Right.
and looked at my bottom line, and it didn't end in enough zeros for his taste. So they
For,
shut that division down. Next thing you know, I'm
oh
sliced out
my.
of a job. But it just so happened that as I was leaving, I had the idea for We Interrupt This Broadcast, which became my first book and really was the engine that powered the train. So again, it's
Wow.
adversity can also be a wonderful gift too. It's a sometimes I
Well, I
often
met your
saw it.
brother.
I was there for
Yeah.
11 years, right, Rudy? I saw this. I saw
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
having the division shut down as sort of a kick in the pants. You know, it's time to get out there. It's time to do something. It's time to really,
Sure.
you know, realize your dreams. And so I found that to be an advantage in hindsight. So
I got fired from every job I had.
did you really?
Yeah. I
Aren't
remember the
they
last time I
smart?
got fired, I went in there and asked my boss if I could have 4 more days off so I could go out to California to pitch my movie. He said, "You can have all the time you want." I said, "Well,
Well,
what does that mean?" He says, "You're fired."
well, I'll tell you what I had the
At that
experience of
point, I
doing.
could have said to myself, "Is this stupid? Is this foolish?" But I said, "You know what? I have to go do this. There's no turning back."
Right.
That's probably how you felt.
It was exactly how I felt. Here I was. I came home. I had a little bit of a settlement, but came home to a mortgage, 2 leased cars, a son in
Oh,
private
wow.
school, and a baby on the way. And that's when I decided that it was time to take this new path. And
And your
it was a bit
baby, listen to
unconventional
this,
for sure. Sorry?
your baby's going to be graduating from Michigan
I know, as your
very
baby
soon.
graduating from Boston Conservatory. And you know what I'm excited about too, and not to digress, but I'm so excited because, you know, everybody's concerned about the class of 2020. And my gosh, what a
Right.
resilient generation they're going to turn out to be. I mean, they were born just before
Yeah,
9/11. They went through the Great Recession of 2008. Now they're being
that's
robbed of their
correct.
commencement because of the
Yes.
coronavirus. And so just to tip our hand a little bit, Rudy and I have invited our daughters to join us on a future show so that they can talk to us about the kind of adversity they're facing at the ripe old age of what, 21, 22, and 23.
21, 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to finish their senior year at home.
At home, right up these stairs,
Is that
right up to
crazy?
my right. Yeah, it's
Right.
crazy. Well, Rudy, I tell you what,
So we're going to have, I'm excited about that conversation.
I am too. I am too. And I'll tell you, I hope that we have shared a little bit of our experience that maybe is helping you a little bit. And we're here. I mean, Rudy's stuck there. I'm stuck here. So if you think we can help,
Well,
write to us. You can reach out to Rudy at, and here's the email address, Rudy at riseabovewithrudy.com. Rudy at riseabovewithrudy.com. Tell us your story. Tell us what your concerns are. Let us know what you're thinking about. And if we can help, we will. We'll perhaps even bring your story here to share with everybody else. So make sure you reach out to us.
yeah.
We want to hear your story. Do us a favor too. Hit that subscribe button. It really does make a difference. And right now we're in 40 countries. You hit that subscribe button, we could be in 80 countries before long. So
Isn't that cool?
we want you to
Yeah.
leave us a nice comment or otherwise. But we hope you'll join us here every single week. So Rudy, enjoy
You bet, guys.
rearranging
I,
your house another time.
yeah, well, I'm going to say this too before we go. Take it slow, guys.
Yeah.
Just take it slow. Get unstuck. Create a vision and plan your life now. That's basically what we're doing. Just take it slow. Slow down. This is what's good about this. Let's slow down. Let's find out who we really are and get unstuck.
Great advice. We'll see you next time.